Today I was pleased to announce that Rotorua MP Todd McClay has been appointed as the new Minister outside of Cabinet. Todd will take on the revenue and associate health portfolios following the resignation of Peter Dunne last week. Todd was elected to Parliament in 2008 and most recently was made the Chair of the Finance and Expenditure Committee last year. He has proven himself to be a valuable member of the National Party caucus over the past 4.5 years. I think will make an excellent Minister and he'll be sworn in at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning by the Governor-General. Tomorrow, Education Minister Hekia Parata will be releasing the national aggregate data for the second full year of national standards for reading, writing and maths in our primary and intermediate schools. The data will show an increase in years 1 to 8 achievement, particularly for Pacifica children. This is great news, but we can always do better. Too many children are being left behind and leaving school without the most basic of skills. Currently, an average of 4 out of 5 children are successfully getting the qualifications they need from school, but the government's plan is about getting 5 out of 5 children succeeding. In addition to national standards, we've also introduced some ambitious targets around education, including lifting early childhood education or ECE participation to 98% and having 85% of school leavers achieving the minimum qualification of NCEA level 2 or equivalent. Introducing national standards was a core policy of national-led government when we came into office back in 2008. We've delivered on that promise. National standards ensures every primary school tests children's progress and reports in a language that every parent and caregiver can understand. National-led government is spending $9.7 billion each year on education, including early childhood education, which is the largest ever education budget in the history of New Zealand. National standards data being released tomorrow gives us a good picture of the education system and enables us to better target our resources. It also helps to identify those children who are in danger of falling behind, which means we're able to focus on those children to give them all the help that they need to catch up. Just in terms of the House this week, the government will look to conclude the financial review data on the performance of current operations of Crown entities, state-owned enterprises and other public organisations. We'll also look to make progress on the Immigration Amendment Bill, the Legal Assistance Amendment Bill and State Sector and Public Finance Reform Bill. On Wednesday morning we have extended hours to pass some non-controversial legislation, and on Wednesday afternoon it's a Members' Day with Paul Foster-Bell and Claudette Huata's maiden speeches from 5:30. Just in terms of my own activities, I'm in Wellington tomorrow and Wednesday for the usual caucus and house activities. On Thursday I'll also be in Wellington for a range of events before heading off to field days at Mystery Creek on Friday. Any questions?
Prime Minister, do you trust Peter Dunne?
Well, I do, and I have in the past. If you're directly asking me whether he leaked the information, as I said last week, I want to believe him, but I'm not in a position to actually fully assess that.
So do you trust him now? Do you trust Peter Dunne as of right now?
Well, I do, and I have always been in the position where I felt I've been able to do that. As I said last week, I'm just simply not in a position to be able to make the call on the most previous one because I can't have all the information, I can't see it to assess it.
Will he remain on the Security and Intelligence Committee?
No, he'll be leaving that and we'll be replacing him with Tony Ryan.
So why is he leaving that committee if you trust him?
Well, there's technical rules around that committee anyway, so that's one of the reasons why he's leaving. It's got nothing to do with what happened, well, maybe to do with last week, but it's driven by the fact that he's no longer a minister. So essentially what's happening there is we're replacing with Tony Ryle, and so
why is that done? There's some
technical rules around that, but anyway, he's no longer on.
Did he resign?
No, the advice I was given was that he had to leave the committee.
So you can't be minister and that you have to be minister?
Well, when you think about David Shearer, who's also on the committee, and Ross and Norman aren't, but the government has 3 representatives, which, I can't give you the exact reason, I have to go and check it, but I know there was a reason why. I was just assuming you would know.
The law says, I was looking at it today, the law says that it's people of your nomination. You've nominated John Banks and Peter Dunne.
Yeah.
So why did you change your mind?
Well, that was the advice I received. It's got nothing to do with the issue of trust, it's to do with the wider issue that he's no longer a minister, it's not appropriate.
What do you think the chances are of a privileges committee hearing?
Well, obviously that's totally a matter for the Speaker in the first instance and the Privileges Committee to make a call on that. I mean, in the end, you know, it's going to be, it's for the Privileges Committee to determine, you know, assuming it goes there, but there is going to be a difficult issue for that committee. I mean, in the end, you've seen Fairfax's reaction today, which is they are going to fight tooth and nail surrendering those emails. The committee, to be able to make an informed decision, I would assume would want to have both sides of the emails. And realistically, even you as members of the Fourth Estate will need to think about whether you want that committee to subpoena that information and therefore be delving into your communications, both by phone, by text and by email, with members of Parliament. Historically, the members of the media have been very reluctant for that sort of information to be disclosed.
What do you make of Winston Peters' claims that he's either seen or is in receipt of the emails and that they actually do show Peter Dunne was the source of the leak?
I don't believe it's correct.
So, because I suppose the next question is where he would have got those from.
Well, that's right. I mean, you'd have to go through the number of people that have those emails are extremely limited. I've never seen them. Can't see why Mr. Dunne would give it to them. Can't actually see why Andrew Vance would give it to them. So, to be honest, I think it's very unlikely. Last week he was going on about the phone records. They don't seem to be actually registered as a major issue in the Henry report. I think, you know, it's normal modus operandi for Winston Peters. You know, bluff and bluster and claiming he had lots of information. If he's got them, he should release them, but I bet he doesn't have them.
So who do you think leaked to him in the first place that he, you know, because that was good information he had that Peter Dunne had been interviewed by David Henry. Who do you think?
Well, I don't know, you'd have to ask him, but I'm not entirely sure it was a leak. I mean, again, I can go through lots of sort of second guesswork, but, you know, there was quite a lot of chatter, as I understand it, about at least the Twitter dialogue between Andrew Vance and Peter Dunne. My understanding was that you as members of the media were ringing around to see officers that had been interviewed. You know, it's, I think stopping him asking a question as the committee is there. You know.
So you think he could have guessed?
Well, that'd be my guess.
So you don't think there's people from in your office or close to the inquiry that have, for one reason or another, leaked information out about Peter Dunne?
Definitely not from my office, and our office has never seen those emails.
You said after the Brash emails investigation that you thought that the parliamentary email system was being hacked, and had been hacked. Do you think that's happened in this case?
I think this is on the ministerial server, but I need to check, and if that's right, then the security around that is much greater. And no, look, my view is that Mr. Peters doesn't have the emails. If he does, he should feel free to share them. I certainly haven't seen them, so I'd be fascinated to read them myself.
So is he lying?
Well, you don't ask him.
So are you confident that Peter Dunne is going to keep his word and keep voting with National?
Well, that's a matter for him. There's no deal there. I mean, other than he's written to us to say that he's going to continue to support the government on competence to supply matters. And I think, look, in the end, he's going to stay, I'd imagine, true to his values and principles as a member of Parliament. He's always voted in a particular kind of way. It's been a fairly, you know, pragmatic, middle of the road kind of way. That's the way this government operates, and I'm sure on a case-by-case basis he'll continue to look at the bill. I mean, in terms of the sort of legislation where it's a bit tighter, he's already confirmed to the Minister we're voting for the SkyCity legislation and the RMA legislation. So
Have you taken his proxy while he's away this
I
week?
don't think we do have his proxy. I think what happens is he indicates, historically, and I assume we'll carry on this way, at the start of each week he indicates outside competence and supply where we know he'll vote for us. He indicates every week, week by week, what he'll be voting for and what he won't be voting for.
Has he advised you why he's taking this week off? Is it to think about his political
I didn't need to
future?
know he was. Sorry.
Would you have been comfortable for him to stay on the Security and Intelligence Committee if the advice hadn't been that he should go?
Well, I trust in him. So I can't determine the other information. I need to go back and check fully, but the advice I was given was that, you know, he needs to come off the committee, and I don't think it was based on any other reason than the way that makeup that committee works is.
But you would have been comfortable in the light of the report that you received for him to stay on that committee?
Well, I don't know whether it would have been appropriate for him to do so, given he's resigned as a minister and all of those particular things. But
I'm asking you if you would be comfortable.
Well, in principle, look, all I can tell you is what I said last week. I've worked with this guy for 4.5 years in the time that I've been Prime Minister, and some time prior to that when I was leading the opposition. Everything he said he was going to do, he did. He was straightforward and transparent to deal with, and I've always found him to be honest and upfront. If there was a problem, and that certainly the Henry report, can't rule them out and arguably rules them in, I'm as surprised as anybody in this building.
Yeah, but to follow up on Bernard's question there, would you have been happy in that context that it doesn't rule them out and almost rules them in, for him to continue sitting on that intelligence and security
Well,
committee?
I think the view would be it wouldn't be appropriate, but I mean, I wouldn't personally be that unhappy with it because, as I said, I've trusted him in the past and I'll probably continue to do so in the future.
So are you saying this is just an overreaction by Peter Dunne? He couldn't stay on, is that what you're?
No, look, all I know was as a result of what happened, I didn't go and delve into it, it just seemed pretty straightforward. I'm sure my office can give you the technical reason, but as a result of him resigning as a minister, it was made clear to me he was coming off the Intelligence Security Committee.
No, sorry, what I mean is him stepping down as minister, was that an overreaction?
No, look, there was no option. It was either comply with the inquiry or resign.
Did he in any way indicate, did he at any time indicate to you that he would be stepping down completely as an MP? That he
No, it's not interesting.
Would you prefer Peter Dunne to stay on in Parliament, given National his vote rather than contest, for example, a by-election in a hurry?
Well, that's totally a matter for him. In the end, if he chose to leave Parliament, then of course National would contest Mahurea and would historically won the party vote there. So,
But what's
so
your
there.
preference? I mean, would it suit National better just to have him here giving you your vote if you can trust that he's going to do that rather
Well,
than
I mean, look, in the end, I mean, by-elections are expensive. They put people through a lot of extra work, but if there's to be a by-election, there'll be a by-election. I'm actually quite comfortable with that. I'm simply saying, as I've said this morning, I'm not entirely sure hounding everybody out of Parliament is the right way to go. I mean, that's not actually what happened to Leanne Dalziel. When she leaked information, she actually misled people, and she later on came back to be a minister. I mean, at the end of the day, this is unproven, but he had to go because he simply couldn't comply with the inquiry. People can read into that what they like. Everybody has. And in the end, that's for others to determine. But I mean, it is quite a big call for someone who's been there for 30 years, and I was trying to look at things objectively. And so even if he did do this, that would be a terrible thing if he did, but on the other side of what I'm simply saying, he's had a long, actually prior to this point, pretty distinguished career in Parliament.
So would you have him back as a minister at some time in the future, given,
I think that's unlikely in the short term.
but maybe in another term or down the
Let's
track?
wait and see what
If,
happens.
if Fairfax had said that he was not the leaker, would you have required him to resign?
Well, that's a hypothetical yes, because I would have required him to comply with the inquiry. I mean, in the end of the day, I set up an inquiry to genuinely try and get an answer to the question that was posed in the report. And if it's incumbent on a minister to comply. I mean, if I don't want to talk about myself in the third person, but if the Prime Minister of the day sets instructions, ministers have to follow those. And if they don't, they are by definition acting against the Prime Minister of the day, and that's actually not sustainable.
Did he ever give you an explanation for why he wouldn't hand over the emails?
No.
So why do you think he then gave the media an explanation?
Well, that's a matter for him. I mean, I didn't go to extraordinary lengths to try and test that out. I just said to him, look, in the end you have to comply. If you don't comply, you have to resign. You choose.
Do you think it's that he just gave him 24 hours to think up an explanation?
Look, in the end, you've got to ask him those questions yourself. And this is they're going to privileges, so there's a limit to what I can say anyway.
But didn't you find it odd if he thought it was such an important principle not to hand over confidential emails with members of the public, that he didn't raise it with you at the time?
Well, I didn't go into extraordinary lengths about that. I mean, in the end, whatever the explanation for me isn't going to cut it, because I need someone to comply. They're a minister, and I made it quite clear. My office had written to every minister and see our expectations as you comply.
Does this make you more reliant on the Māori Party, given that you don't actually have a confidence in supply or an agreement locked in now with Peter Dunne, or
No, I don't think so. We do effectively have one. I mean, he's written to us saying he intends to vote for us. I'd imagine he'll continue to vote for us. And when it comes to the budget anyway, I mean, which is the main confidence and supply motion, there's never ever been a sign that the Māori Party wouldn't vote for us. I mean, the government is extremely stable, and people that try and propose it's not are engaged in wishful thinking.
Why, if Peter Dunne resigned on Wednesday night, was it not made public until Friday afternoon?
Oh, well, I mean, I first saw him, quite late in the night. Obviously I posed the questions to him, to will he provide the information. He said no, it wasn't his intention to do so for reasons. And then essentially what happened was I said, well, you need to go away and think about that.
And so when did he finish thinking about things?
Well, I was really under not much illusion that he would change his mind, but I needed a little bit of time.
So he told you that night, on Wednesday night, that he was going, but you gave him sort of, you said...
I can't exactly remember exactly what he communicated it, but I mean, he didn't give me any impression he would change his mind. He was very adamant. So I said, well, you need to go and think
So
that.
why didn't you tell everyone on Tuesday that he resigned?
I could have, but I would have had to rearrange my schedule and it suited me to rearrange it more on Friday.
Oh, no,
Do you give
but
him any
NSA
return assurances that his initiative spelled out in that confidence in the program and would go ahead?
Sorry, one more time, please.
Did you give him any assurances that the measures that he still has to get under the confidence program and still go ahead?
Well, we didn't actually discuss that on the night, but the issues that he cares about, if you talk about things like flexible super, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't continue to work with Mr. Dunne on those issues. There are issues of interest to the government as well.
on the NSA in prison, is there a chance that the NSA could have connected data or communications from New Zealanders using prison, and then if so, could that have been passed on to the GCSB?
Look, I can't go into the operational techniques that are used by either GCSB or our partners to gather information. I either don't have all of that information or I'm not at liberty to do that. All I can say is that it's my expectation that GCSB, when it gathers information, will always act within the law. And just from the information I've seen in the public domain out of the NSA, that's certainly what Mr. Clapper has made clear, that his expectations that the US will operate within the law.
But you can't rule out that the GCSB received data collected by the NSA through prison, possibly about New Zealanders.
Well, I'm not going to go into all the details of what information we receive, what techniques are used for that. It's well known that we share information with our partners, but how that information is gathered is not something that I can, even with my hand on my heart, if I wanted to answer, give you a direct answer on, because I don't know all the techniques they use.
Is this arguably a way of circumventing the law, though? I mean, around spying on New Zealanders and New Zealand citizens and residents. Is this a way that the NSA could perhaps gather that information and pass it on to us without the GCSB needing those warrants?
No. So I think it's important to understand that there are situations where we work with our partners, but whatever work that's undertaken, for instance, by GCSB, has to be along the lines of, or certainly in line with the government's priorities. There can and will have been isolated examples where it's been in New Zealand's interest to work with other intelligence agencies to gather data, but there's no wholesale reciprocal work going on where that is taking place. So there could be an isolated example where there is a New Zealander of interest overseas where information is gathered, but that will be because it's in the interest of the New Zealand government to be having that information gathered, and it will be within the law to do so.
The British Foreign Secretary has come out quite strongly and said, look, it's preposterous that they would be involved. Why can't we give that same assurance that New Zealand's information is?
Well, I'm not going to go into the operational techniques that either we use or that others use. Because I simply don't know all of the techniques that our partners might use in gathering information. All I can tell you is from our side, whatever we do within the law. We're in the process of changing the law to strengthen the oversight of that. But I'm not going to go into every particular way or mechanism for doing that, because once I start down that, I will face 20 questions of lots of other supposed software programs, and that isn't taking a very good space.
So
You
would that
talk
be
about
within the law
isolated
then?
examples.
Sorry?
Would that be within the law then if the NSA collected data on New Zealanders through prison and then passed it on to the GCSB if they didn't have those rights?
You'd need to direct that to GCSB. They can explain that. It's quite complicated in terms of what data can be passed and what can't. They can take that to GCSB.
They wouldn't comment on it though, so would that be within the law? I mean, you say that this is within the law, so why not just...
It's it's a bit of a circular argument, but you can go and ask them. All I can tell you is that they at all times have to act within the law and aligned with the government's priorities.
Fonterra and some others have warned that government regulations on baby formula exports to China aren't tough enough. Are you worried that our reputation for safe food is being endangered by 200 brands of baby formula saying it's from New Zealand?
So I don't think it's fair to say I'm worried about it, but I'm aware of the potential concerns and I'm aware of the issues that are at play. And it's really important that if anybody sets up a manufacturing plant for infant baby formula or for other dairy products out of New Zealand, they meet the high standards that are expected here in New Zealand. Because the risk is that somebody comes to New Zealand, sets up a plant, shortcuts the circuit, the system, and then all of a sudden anything produced in New Zealand is tainted by that bad process. So there are quite stringent regulations that we expect enforced.
So you're not looking to toughen it?
No, I wouldn't say that. The Minister of Primary Industries has been looking at that issue just to make sure he's comfortable that all the right safeguards are in place.
The super funds pulled out of investing in 5 companies that were involved in maintaining nuclear weapons. Are you concerned that it was investing in those companies in the first place?
Well, you'll be aware, they make their decisions completely independent of me. I wasn't aware that they're investing and I wasn't even aware that they're pulling out because they don't reference those to me, so you need to ask them.
I think that's concerning though, that they were investing in companies that maintained.
Well, I wouldn't want to answer a question where I don't know what the companies were, what their basis was. They have set guidelines from the government that indicate, what their parameters are for investing in, and they include moral and ethical rules. And my experience in the past is they follow that. So if they've changed or divested the company, it must be because the company started engaging or they were fully aware of activities they were undertaking. So you have to direct them.
Is that not in contrast though to our nuclear-free policy?
Like I say, I just don't know the companies yet. It's an operational.
Prime Minister,
Yeah.
what's your opinion of the recent decline in the New Zealand dollar, and do you think that endorses in any way the Reserve Bank's intervention?
Well, my views on intervention, and so, if you're trying to reverse the direction of the currency, in my view, that historically proves it doesn't work. But, there's always been the capacity for them to intervene, and that can be a factor that can assist if it's going in a particular direction. But if you look at the level of intervention that they undertook, just looking at their accounts, it wasn't very large relative to the overall flow. So I'd be surprised if that's really made the big difference. It seems to me that it's just generally reflecting both the Australian dollar that's coming off and better data coming out of the United States as a general rule. And so, we've always believed the exchange rate is overvalued, and it's starting to come back a little bit against the US to levels that we would be a bit more comfortable with.
So you're happy about the decline then, and would you still consider it to be overvalued?
Yes, it would still be overvalued, but yes, we're happy with the decline.
Should the Reserve Bank pull out of its TWI position? It's still got a TWI position.
It's a matter for them, I'm sorry.
Prime Minister, just back on the GCSB, you will have seen the reports about the NSA harvesting vast amounts of metadata courtesy of Verizon. Does the GCSB, or has it ever indiscriminately harvested metadata from New Zealand citizens?
That's a question you have to direct to GCSB.
But you, as Prime Minister, you've got sole oversight, you're a sole check and balance on this organisation. You're not able to, in that role, you're not able to offer that assurance at the moment.
Well, I don't have sole oversight. It's important to understand we expect them to operate within the law, and that requires both my approval and the approval of the Commission of Security Warrants. So, all I can say is there's 3 categories under which they gather data, and exactly what kind of data and how. It's complex, and you need to direct that question to them.
Where are you going
on the suggestion of revoking Doug Graham's knighthood?
Well, you'll be aware that the matter's now gone to the Supreme Court, that the 4 gentlemen have appealed. So I'll make a decision about that when we see the result of that appeal.
Just back on those 5 companies that the super fund was investing in, it said clearly on all of their websites that that's what they did, that they were involved in nuclear weapons. Should the fund have been involved in with as Peter stated?
At the risk of repeating myself, as I said earlier, they have, the super fund has clear guidelines under which that they can invest. Those guidelines are broadly set by the government, and those ethical guidelines, in my experience, have been followed in the past. They haven't been in this particular instance, and there's some reason why that's been uncovered. It's solely a matter for the super fund to explain.
So that would be flouting those guidelines though if they were involved in companies?
Again, I don't know the companies, and sometimes you guys put questions to me that on later analysis don't stack up, so take it up with the super fund.
Prime Minister, why has Wellington and NZ lost out on the second Hobbit premiere?
It was my understanding was they were never going to get all of the premieres. They were always going to be spread around, so it made sense for the second one to be overseas.
Does it make it a bit of a waste, the money spent on it, the 2010 changes to the law? And what have
Not in the slightest. I mean, if you look at the data that's been produced recently about tourism numbers to New Zealand, and the comments by Kevin Bowler, the head of tourism, it's quite clear that we've had an uplift in activity as a result of the Hobbits movie. And really, it's just beginning. I mean, these movies are going to play for a long time. The DVDs will play for a long time. In fact, I saw something yesterday on television when I was watching TV for about 5 minutes that the Irish are going through something at the moment where they're trying to emulate what's been happening with the equivalent success of Lord of the Rings. So no, I think it's been very successful for New Zealand and for Wellington.
Tourism NZ says it is, this latest announcement is a blow. Would you agree with that?
Well, I'd be surprised. I mean, obviously it would be great to have all the premieres in New Zealand, but I don't think there was ever any expectation they would all be here.
On note of pay, are you still satisfied that the ministerial inquiry came up with the right findings when you consider that a separate inquiry by the State Services Commission concluded that ministers got consistent, clear and timely advice?
I haven't seen the other comments, but in terms of the inquiry, the ministerial inquiry and the report that was written there by Sir Martin Weavers, and it was taken to Deloitte's Murray Jack, then yeah, I think that was a very well written report. I haven't seen anything else that contradicted that.
But do you think it's odd that the State Services Commission had a separate inquiry and only made it public the same day the ministerial inquiry came out and it actually contradicts it?
Don't know the details of it. You did take it seriously.
Well, are you saying, does it worry you that you really thought of that?
It'd be better if you asked Stephen Joyce. Okay.